Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much to join us in this parallel session of our action cluster, which is the action cluster on integrated planning policy and regulation of the smart city marketplace. I'm Simona Costa. I'm the chair of this action cluster. And I would like also to welcome all of you and the speakers that we will have today. So we will have a couple of intense hours today. We decided to focus the meeting of today on Bauhaus and possible link between this new and innovative initiative launched recently by the Commission and the activity that we have as action cluster on integrated planning policy and regulation in the smart city, within the smart city. So just quickly, I will show you a little bit the agenda of today. After my welcome, I will introduce Alessandro Rancati from the European Commission, Design for Policy and New European Bauhaus from the Joint Research Center. We will have a 5 minutes question and answer till probably 3:30. Then we will have a presentation from Malin Koch-Hansen, aligning national initiative with the new Bauhaus. So practical example from the national level. And then we will move to a second part of our meeting, an interactive session where we will ask to the participant to be proactive and answer to some questions that we have elaborated on how as action cluster we can contribute to the new European Bauhaus and what would be our key contribution as action cluster. This part will be coordinated by Annemie Wiekmans from NTNU or from myself. Let's see later. And we will have Francisco from Tecnalia, that will senior expert that will support us also in collecting input from the audience. And then we will wrap up and finish our parallel session at 4 o'clock. So I will start immediately giving the floor to Alessandro Rancati, Design for Policy at the new European Bauhaus Joint Research Center, for this overview from European Commission on the new European Bauhaus initiative. Thank you, Alessandro. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Simona, and welcome everyone. I will give a very brief introduction of the initiative in general, and maybe a little bit of hints of what we are starting to see emerging in terms of smart and not only smart cities, but smart in general. Just as a reminder, the European Bauhaus started as an idea in the speech of the President, the State of the Union, in past September. Our unit was set up in December, and from then we have been working on the first phase of the project, which is let's say a mix of co-design and observation. So we launched through our website the collection of examples, ideas and challenges related to the creation of places that are at the same time sustainable, inclusive, and beautiful. And these three dimensions are, in a certain sense, the golden rule of the European Bauhaus. And in a certain sense, they are what ensures that this initiative has something different in respect to other initiatives that are already out there. So the idea is that in the European Bauhaus, we're looking for examples, or we're looking to create conditions and opportunities to create spaces and places that are beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive. Obviously, there are a lot of questions about what is beautiful, what is sustainable, what is inclusive. Is sustainable only related to buildings? Is it related to the environment in general? Is beautiful a matter of style? And is inclusive, especially related to people with certain disabilities, etc., etc. And so, in this phase, we didn't want to give specific definitions of what those three terms mean, because we assume and we know that in different parts of Europe, they have different meaning. And if we want to really create places that, in a certain sense, at the same time are in the triad and are relevant locally, we need to let this the meaning for each one of these dimensions emerge from the examples that we collect. And so that's essentially the idea. It is obviously an initiative that has to do with construction and with places, so with buildings. It started like that, but it's more than that. It's about spaces that are not built, spaces that even processes inside spaces or inside places. It is a lot about the relationship between our cultures and nature. It is a lot about also rediscovering or going back to a lot of what we have sometimes lost, the memory and the identity of our places, and bringing it back. So there's a lot of components, and what we need to understand and we need to empower as a principle is what it's already working, and what, in a certain sense, civil society and stakeholders understand as beautiful, sustainable, and together. With particular reference, well, just before entering into the reference, we launched this collection of examples. It will finish this month. After this month, we will enter in a phase of, let's say, a delivery or more technical design of the tools. And it's in this case the objective is or the ambition is to make sure that whatever is produced has a clear link with all the insights collected. At the same time, we launched the prizes, and the principle was the same, was to let's say, give prizes to existing examples, so projects that have been completed and that exemplify what it means to build or to live in beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive places. And we also had the let's say the parallel line of the rising stars, which is more focused on ideas and dedicated to under 30 persons under 30. So now this is where we are now. The prizes will be now screened, or the applications will be screened, and the prizes we announced in September. Now, in terms of relationship with smart and smart cities, we've seen a lot of things related to, obviously, all the aspects of sustainability and how to make our cities more sustainable thanks to smart components. And a lot has to do with the use of energy, but a lot has to do also about how smart components can help people that are disadvantaged, or that so smart as a enabler of inclusion and you know, a care for others. There is also in the conversation a clear link to what we know about cities beyond the let's say the flows that exist. So rather than measuring what is happening, we don't know enough about what the cities are made of. And so one of the ideas that came up is through the conversation and from some of our partners, is this idea that cities are a bank of materials, but that we don't know what we have in the bank. And so there's a huge potential in going back and cataloging and understanding and noting and digitizing what we have, what our buildings are made of. There is also related to this an aspect that is more about our cultural side, and so our ability or not to recognize use material as something that is valuable, as something that that makes sense to bring back, and valuing the identity that has been built through the years, and then it's be embedded in materials. It's also something that it's starting to appear. So this is, I mean, very quick overview. I would probably stop here and leave the floor for questions if there are, and I'll try to answer in the next maybe 5 minutes.
Yes. So thank you very much. So I see a lot of connection. What maybe I make some questions. What do you plan? So now you launch this prize for a young with less than 30s, no? So it's under 30s. So it's under, I imagine, under evaluation, etc. What is next in your plan? What do you plan for the next month? How to proceed?
Okay, well, the prizes there are two lines. One is for students, but one is for actual projects. So things that have been built or made already. So they exist. They are there, and this is work from professionals of the the different sectors. That we have in mind, or one of the things that was announced were the 5 pilot projects by September. So what we're working on now is in several different parallel lines, and this is especially my colleagues that are more, let's say, working on the delivery side. But the idea is to coordinate with the other DGs, obviously, that are the owners in a certain sense of the policy development. All the different support measures that will, on one side, constitute the pilots, but also on another side, that will flank and that will add to those pilots. So the idea and the ambition by September is not to have only the 5 pilot project, but to have a series of different supports that can enable not just let's say a big project, but that also give a certain attention to the small scale, to the local, to the even the non-formal organizations, because we see that for the change that we in a certain sense hope to achieve, the local dimension is very important, and it's where a lot of things happen. And so one of the principles of how we work is to empower the local and to make sure that what's there get noticed, get let's say valued, and receives support.
Okay. Sorry, when you said the 5 pilot project, is it the deadline that it was the 31st of May, or is something that will be launched in September? Is the results of this deadline of the 31st, or is it something new that will be launched in September?
Yes, it is new. What finished now was the application to the prizes, so the submission to candidacy for prizes. But the pilots will start from September, October.
So and the pilots will be made as a sort of as a project, so launch as a expression of interest, or more as a European project, launched with our program? How it will be?
Okay, I mean, that the GRC is not a policy DG, right?
Yes.
So we are coordinating the work of our colleagues, and so the pilots will be embedded into one of the, let's say, instruments that are available. Okay.
Yes.
And so that's so we will have calls with specification, but the thing is that they're not. We are in the design process. We are in the definition. So it's not exactly clear 100% how they will look like. But the idea is that there will be different directorates working on providing the tools and the instruments to support the different sides of the European Bauhaus. There is also, for example, the idea of support in terms of capacity building, in terms of technical assistance, etc., etc. So it's not just about the 5 pilots. It's more in terms of enabling all the conditions that then create places that are beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive.
And they will be like with several partners all together, or it will be an application that cities can, or actors can do alone?
Yeah, this is already detail that I don't know, because the intention is not to have let's say an approach where we have maybe in a certain sense a winner, and then the rest are simply sitting in the sidelines. So for sure, I can understand. And I can imagine that there's going to be a dimension of creating networks, creating, demonstrators that can be reused, that can be applied again. And one of the concepts maybe is that rather than scaling up pilots, we're going to be looking at replicating pilots. So having one pilot to become, I don't know, something that others can jump in and replicate and make grow.
I see. And I also would like to ask you, an organization like us, we are on a voluntary basis. We are a working group made of project, city, company, so different sort of actors. Do you think he could apply, for example, to be partner of the initiative? And how many partners do you have up to now in the initiative?
Okay, I definitely see you as a partner, or an institution like yours as a partner. The number of partners that we have now, I'm not updated the last number, but we're starting to reach the 150 to 100. Okay. What is the why so many, and why are we not closing the application for partners? And again, the idea here is really to through the partners start to create a network or a sort of community that helps the diffusion of the principles and the ways and the methods of the European Bauhaus. And so even in the selection of the partners, we were not really on big names, but on the content. And so you will find in the list of partners a lot of also smaller entities, but that have very interesting, very relevant activities that they are running, and that have an idea on how to, in a certain sense, collaborate and work with us and with the Commission, but especially with the other partners, to both exchange information, exchange experiences, maybe pilot small experiments together, or simply give each other's visibility, and so on. So that's a bit the idea of why the partners are so many, and why we're not going to close. And obviously, the idea is that we don't have companies per se to avoid, advertising and so on, but we have more entities that are a bit of a node inside a network already, so that they become, in a certain sense, part of this community management.
I see. Yeah, I definitely think that, yes, our group, I mean, this could be a possibility for us, as we are already, a network, and putting together different sort of actors, cities, sometimes regions, private sector, universities. So I think it could be also a very good a good possibility. Um, Alessandro, I don't know if there are other questions from the audience. Maybe if you have questions, could you please write it down in the chat? In
Yeah, I
case,
have really very little time left because
okay.
I have to support
Yeah, we are also
another.
a little bit on late.
Yeah,
I mean, no, but Alessandro, thank you very much for your participation, your contribution today. It was very useful for us. I hope that we will be in contact also in the future. Now, today, we will use this time a little bit to think about how to, in which form participate. And in case we will come back to you or we will apply for the procedure. A last question: do you think it will be? I mean, open the participation. It will be open all the time, or do you think to stop it in a certain point? The application, the possibility of
partnership.
yes, for the partnership. Yes.
At the moment, there are no plans of closing it. There may be a shift in the priorities. So now we're focusing more on organizations that can help. Building awareness.
Yeah.
And it may be that in the future it's going to be more with maybe a clearer task for everyone. So I don't know, increase the regional dimension of the European Bauhaus, or whatever it may be. Yeah? But
Yes.
the idea is again to build a base or some form of inertia where people can join.
Okay, so clear. So thank you very much, Alessandro. So we keep in touch.
Super,
And
super.
yes, and I will contact you later on next weeks.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. So now I would like to move to our second guest. So Malin Hansen. She's a senior advisor and project manager, design and architecture, Norway, Doga. And she will present us how aligning national initiative with the new European Bauhaus, a practical experience. So an experience that had been tested in Norway in aligning national initiatives. So Malin, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Simona. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, I have some trouble with sharing my presentation in full screen, so I have some assistance. So if I say next all the time, that's because I'm not the one sharing my own presentation. But at least it's working now, so that's the most important thing. Well, I will tell you a little bit about this Norwegian and Nordic project, which was initiated by Design and Architecture Norway and a network of cities in Norway working smarter together, called the Norwegian Smart Cities Network, and the innovation cluster Nordic Edge. So this project was initiated almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and I will tell you about sort of the process and what we have been doing since. So please, next slide. Yeah. When initiating this project on creating a Norwegian roadmap for smart and sustainable cities and communities, we started out by establishing a working group consisting of 8 Norwegian municipalities which had been working a lot with the smart cities thematic from before. And we also established a reference group with public and government institutions, and we also had 3 workshops with approximately 150 participants from across the country, representing different sectors and disciplines. So just to show that this has been a really sort of collaborative process with creating this joint roadmap together. Next slide, please. So why did we initiate this project from the very beginning? Well, there was a lot of discussions about smart cities, and what I mean, there are some existing smart city models globally. Of course, you know all about this, the Silicon Valley model, for example, and what was sort of the request from Norwegian cities and municipalities is that we need a sort of an alternative smart city model, and we need to talk about what smart cities are and should be in a Norwegian context. We want a different perspective, and we need a common language to be able to sort of enhance and stimulate collaboration across sectors and disciplines when it comes to smart city development. Next slide, please. So in this process, of course, one thing that was really important to us was sort of try to define what a smart city is in a Norwegian context. And this was the, well, I'm not like, because if I'm supposed to tell you about like the whole process, this will be much more time consuming. So just so you know, I mean, this working group and this reference group and in these open workshops, I mean, all these actors and stakeholders working closely together, I mean, around this topic. And so it was a very like extensive process. And this was then one of the things we did to make this joint Norwegian definition on smart city, which says that smart cities and communities focus on people while using new technology, innovative methods, collaboration and co-creation to become more sustainable, attractive, productive and resilient. Next slide, please. And what we also did is what we created these sort of 8 principles, which are like the basic element of this joint roadmap, which tells about like what are the main goals, what are we like trying to achieve from a smart city perspective in a Norwegian context, and these principles are of course further described in the roadmap, but these are like the headlines. These are the goals that we define for ourselves. Please, next slide. Next, yes, and also in the roadmap, I mean the main target group for this roadmap are local and regional authorities, and for us this was also very important to showcase like how these municipalities and cities and regions, how they can take the lead, how they can act as like facilitators and drivers of smart city processes in close collaboration, of course, with business, with citizens, with academia, and so on. Yeah, next slide, please. And this Norwegian roadmap raised a lot of interest also in a Nordic context. As you know, in the Nordic region, we have a lot of collaboration across the 5 countries. So what we did basically was that we applied for financing from the Nordic Council of Ministers to build on the Norwegian roadmap, but also other initiatives going on in the other 4 Nordic countries, and to lift this up on a Nordic level and see that we have so much in common, and we have like joint goals and joint way of thinking and working, that maybe we can lift this up on a Nordic level. And this is what we did. So please, next slide. and we sort of joined forces with collaboration partners from all the countries. And established this working group as well, and we hosted 3 open workshops at in this setting as well, with participants from all the world, and I think it was about 200 participants, and it was a really interesting co-creation process as well on a Nordic level. Please, next slide. And we also established an expert panel just to show that this was, to get in different perspectives from different disciplines, different sectors, to say that this is not only about technology. This is about like how do we create and build our urban spaces, and not only in the cities but also in the districts, in the regions, in the rural parts of our region. So it was really important to get all these different perspectives out there. Next, please. And these were then the dilemmas that we are facing. I'm going to speed up a little bit because I see I soon will be lacking time. But I mean, how do we, for example, when it comes to the urban-rural perspective, how do we enhance cooperation between cities and rural municipalities, machine versus human? Yeah. So it's this was like the dilemmas that we were working with. Next, please. Yeah, and as I said, I mean, what we wanted to achieve was this paradigm shift. I mean, that we, instead of like taking and I mean, this is becoming more and more established, but to really like showcase it in practice. I mean, how can we not? I mean, how can technology be used as a not like a means in itself, but as a tool to achieve these goals of like this life first, people first philosophy, and to actually create positive social impact for both humans and the planet, and to contribute to more inclusive, safe, resilient and sustainable societies in practice. And again, how cities and municipalities can be frontrunners in driving this change. So next, please. Yeah. You can just speed up here a little bit because there's a lot of material. So we made these just click forward. I mean, these objectives that we agreed on. This is what we want to achieve. This is what we are working towards. And then we defined 5 impact areas. The first one is leadership. Next, we defined 3 principles. This is what we want to achieve together in a Nordic context. These are our goals. For example, when it comes to leadership as an impact area, bottom-up approach and citizen empowerment, collaboration and open source across regional borders, innovation, infrastructure, and knowledge. Next, please. And we also, this is, I think, maybe one of the most important things, instead, because it was very important to say that we, in the Nordic region, we don't have all the answers. We do some pretty good stuff occasionally, but we also have a lot to learn, and we have a lot of challenges and barriers sort of that we face. So this was also important for us for all of these 5 impact areas. We have 3 principles, like these are our goals, joint goals, but we also have 5 barriers, like what are the obstacles, what are the problems, what like prevents us from achieving these goals. And this was also really important to say that we want to sort of put a finger on the problems as well, and not only the good stuff that we are doing. Next, please. And yeah, and this is also this is still an ongoing process. But next up now, we will also it's very important to show like how can we then really overcome these barriers and achieve our goals. And we have some tools both in the Nordic region and also internationally that we will map out to sort of showcase real practical examples for how to overcome the barriers and achieve these principles or these goals. Next, please. Yeah, impact area 2, inclusion, the same here with the principles. Next, please. Just next slide. Yeah, and barriers, and next. And living environment here, I see there's there's a question regarding aesthetics, and here we have also some aspects when it comes to place identity and culture, and how to, I mean, how this aspect of aesthetics are important. Yeah, just skip forward, because now I think digital communities the same. And next, please, because then I can come back to the new Bauhaus aspect, and then health and well-being as the final principle. Yes. So what we did also in earlier this spring, together with Nordic institutions supported by the Nordic Council of Ministers, we arranged this Nordic co-design event in connection to New European Bauhaus, the goal with this event was to bring actors from. Oh, now you jump back. Now something happened. Yes, to bring actors from the Nordic region together. And of course tell about the new Bauhaus initiative, but also to sort of prepare the ground for collaboration and discuss how we can design our way out of global challenges. So this was more than 2,600 participants from 20 countries took part. I think it was 900 in the sort of main event, and there was also 4 like smaller events. And one of the sessions was about smart cities and smart communities and digitalization, and it was really interesting to discuss this also on a Nordic level. And one of the main key outcome from this whole process was we need more focus on participation and equality. We need more focus on nature, and even more focus on sustainability, with all aspects of sustainability included, and especially focusing here also on the social sustainability aspect, and how our societies and our values can be adjusted so that we, according to our planetary boundaries, and on a high level. So this was, and now this is an ongoing process. The Nordic ministers will gather and discuss, how can we collaborate when it comes to new European Bauhaus and on a Nordic level, and how can this Nordic Smart City Vision be used as a fundament for like a platform for this collaboration, as we have already been doing a lot of work when it comes to mapping out, joint issues and joint possibilities, and we have a very good network of stakeholders. So please, next slide, and the final slide. So as I see it, this is definitely a bridge to build on from the Nordic region to Europe. There's plenty of synergies, both when it comes to Smart City Marketplace and new Bauhaus. And as I also said in the presentation, how do we move on now from barriers to solutions? How do we map out and showcase best practice to show that how can we really overcome these barriers? And here we also we are in this phase now of discussion. How do we take this forward from barriers to solutions? And here we have been discussing this invitation to collaboration. As I said, that we in the Nordic region, we don't have all the answers ourselves. So can we invite stakeholders and both cities and municipalities and companies from across the European region to bring their solutions on the table, and also sort of co-create and collaborate with us in the Nordic region to how to overcome the barriers that have been mapped out. And also, can we use this Nordic Smart City Vision to as a platform and build on when it comes to new Bauhaus initiatives, as the goal here also is to connect technology with people, with our built environment. And of course, this will be free for everyone to use, and open for cities and municipalities and other actors also outside the Nordic region. And we are really interested to hear about possible collaborations and suggestions for how to move forward to really get some concrete results on the table. Yes, Thank you. Maybe I can. Oh, yes, you stop sharing. You have your microphone off.
Yes, thank you very much, Malin. Very interesting presentations. So you develop a platform, right? So is a communication platform where the people can exchange information. What are the next steps that you planned? You know, for the next month, for example. I see also a lot of links, for example, with our Smart City guidance package that we have developed in one of our initiatives. I see that also Judith is connected now. She was leading this process in the initiative for climate implementation, and so she in our co-creation guidebook that Judith led and we all contributed. We examined also all the barriers that the Smart City project and cities have encountered in the last years, and there were a lot of examples coming. So we put a lot of example in this Smart City guidance package on how to solve a problem based on lessons learned from Lighthouse project in particular, people that were part of the Lighthouse project, and there were barriers at several levels, you know, administrative, legal, social, but also technical, for example. Of course, the focus was on Smart City, and from a planning to implementation perspective, of course, that is also the topic that we follow in our action cluster in comparison to the others. So Ali, I see a lot of elements that we develop in some tools in our group that maybe could also, it's a methodology that we have developed that also put together around the table stakeholders in an innovative way and make also through questions and through a specific methodology, people working together and funding also their objective and how to determine it, also the objective in the long term, for example. So for example, I see already some possible.
That's very, very interesting, and of course, I mean, one of the key challenges, and I guess that's the same for everywhere in the world. I mean, this going from pilot to practice. I mean, there's a lot of interesting and pilot projects in several places, but how do we actually lift it up to the next level and integrate it into processes, and so it's and also this exchange. I mean, exchange of knowledge and exchange of experience, but not like stopping with the exchange, but also like actually taking in what you have learned and implementing in your own city or municipality, and so there's I think that will be the next step now. I mean, to actually, like as you said, also to bring up all the good examples and how do we really solve this in practice, and how do we implement these solutions in our own city or municipality, and how do we get enhanced collaboration across Nordic cities and Nordic and European cities, and actually, get these solutions implemented and moving from pilot to practice. I think that's one of the key issues. But so that's the next phase now. I mean, to initiate collaborations between Nordic cities and Nordic actors and international cities and international stakeholders, and to get sort of the spotlight on these great solutions that we are all looking for. So every input here is very interesting.
It's very welcome. And I have also another question. Are you already thinking, as I know that in the Nordic, for example, for the cooperation program, Interreg cooperation program, there's an important dialogue between the Nordic country, and that then come out normally in structural funds with new initiative and new funding schemes that can support it. Did you already have a thought about that, or is too early? As you know, there is a new now redesigning all the structural funds in general. So this new initiative, of course, Bauhaus is at the beginning. No, we are at the beginning of a process, like it was many years ago, Smart City. So we also the Commission, I think they still have to understand how to develop it, how to give importance, for example, in aesthetic or inclusion. That I see that are the two aspects. Additional aspects in comparison to Smart City or to natural based solution, for example, you know, with the environmental aspects.
I think this is really also really interesting, because from my perspective also, I mean, it's very, I see it as very important as that new Bauhaus really like again goes to the next level and really see, I mean, how can we really, I mean, include, like, as I also was speaking about in the presentation, not only like the bigger cities, but also the rural areas, the districts, and also the inclusion aspect, and the designers and architects, and how do we really do this in practice, and also like the silent voices. And so I think this is really a great opportunity to move like from good to better. And really like see that how can we become even bolder and more like more innovative and more aiming for like even higher goals in our work, so this inclusion aspect is really interesting in also something that we are discussing now both on a Norwegian and Nordic level, that how can we really like walk the talk and do this in practice and become even bolder when we initiate our projects and solutions. So that's also very, very interesting, and something that we all should really consider.
Yes, thank you, Malin. Thank you very much. Do you have time to stay with us also a little bit later, also in the second part, or do you have to leave?
I have to leave. I didn't know it was a second part, unfortunately. But
we'll keep in touch.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Malin, very much. I don't know if there are other questions from the audience, from the floor, in case.
If there's some.
Yeah, just I don't see.
I saw somebody was asking about aesthetics, and that's actually one of the things that we are discussing now. I mean, should we this become even more sort of put even more focus on aesthetics?
Yes, you know, Georg is also co-leading. I mean, from the European Commission side, our action cluster. So hi Georg, I'm very happy to see you. I know that you are jumping around all the parallel sessions, so you are very, very busy today, but thank you to be here today with us at this stage.
well it's to some extent it's even a bit impolite to just jump around. I should follow sessions from the beginning to the end. Just wanted to very quickly raise my hand, say hello to everyone. So if there is a question specifically for the Commission, although I have missed, I guess, a lot of interesting insights already from Stavanger region and from Stavanger itself, and apologies for that. That's really, as I said, I mean, I need to split between meetings, and I'm very sorry for that. But if there's any specific question or something coming from the audience, or anything sort of, you know, directly related to the Commission, I'm happy to answer that if I can, or I take it further to colleagues who can answer the question. Otherwise, I would, for now, simply switch back to silent listening mode. And if you feel like asking a question, just pull me in. Thank you very much.
But may I make a question?
Sure,
sure. I do a lot of questions. No, I saw that in the mission, in the mission part, there will be. I mean, next week it will be the next week and the week after it will be the moment where the work program for Horizon Europe will be launched, and also the mission very soon will be launched. And I saw that there's a discussion also on taking even in the mission of neutral carbon cities this important role of the Bauhaus. I saw that in the mission there's a part already on Bauhaus. Can you give us maybe a couple of words about that, if you can? If you can.
Well. As you know, Simona, and you know probably even better than me, things are very much in the making. So, and you heard Matthew Baldwin this morning. There is this 100 climate neutral cities, that for sure. We have sort of a price tag to these 100 cities, which is 100 billion euro, roughly, which is a heck of a lot of money. Then he also mentioned September as a probable date for having a concrete sort of work program and developed implementation plan available. In fact, the implementation plan is now really in the final stages of development, polishing, adoption, and all what relates to it, as you might already know. I can give you a bit of a glimpse, let's say, at least into what's written in there. There's a lot of links to existing programs, and why is that? Because I mean, we have a vast landscape of a smart city or urban related initiatives on EU level. There's already also a number of instruments in place. I'll just mention a few. There's of course Horizon Europe, which will kick in with a dedicated work program for cities. And as it seems, that is being situated and attached to the actual mission implementation. Bauhaus is mentioned there. Yes, of course. It would be very wrong to not mention Bauhaus. It would be a missed opportunity in the end. It would be simply stupid. There is the Smart Cities Marketplace mentioned. I can reveal that much, and I'm very happy about this.
Yes.
There is also a link to the Covenant of Mayors, for example.
Yes.
Having the 10,000 magnitude of more than 10,000 cities already subscribed or committed to climate goals. And you see there's a lot of cooking in the background. We really try to make some sense of really the vast landscape of EU initiatives. So to really put a good package out, so that whatever purpose we use, or whatever source of funding or financing we use, whatever tool we use, it's all sort of aligned to one goal, and that is delivering a nucleus of 100 smart and climate neutral cities by 2030. And that's not the end, of course. We should all sort of get together, join forces in making it work for literally all cities. I'm speaking about the smaller and medium-sized cities here. I'm speaking about those cities who are not yet aware, who are not maybe in a position to join European efforts for simple reasons, such as language barriers, for example. So there's a lot to do still to make this happen, and to glue things together so that literally all mayors, all city administrators in Europe can make use of that and actually join us, and not only the Commission, but the many cities which are connected to the marketplace, be it directly in the action clusters, or be it via projects, lighthouse projects, for example, or again, the many other initiatives, such as Covenant of Mayors, Civitas, Living in EU, Intelligent Cities Challenge. There is the Green City Accord. There's so many things out there which we should join, glue, and connect in a meaningful way to really be on the same page. To have, I'm always comparing that. Sorry, and there we will stop. I'm always comparing that with a field of sunflowers. While not being directly connected, they look into the same direction. So they turn to the sun, And this is a bit like I see this achievement of climate neutral cities, or then consequently climate neutral Europe, that while not truly connected in the end, but we are all turning to the same direction, following up on the same target and vision. And that would be that's a nice picture, actually, I'm always quoting here. So again, mission will be a big thing. And Matthew said it already this morning. It's something we are all very excited about. And the Bauhaus can be an essential, let's say, flagship of that mission in the end. I mean, the Bauhaus can contribute in a way that the activities are also inclusive, taking into account livability, design, well-being, energy poverty, you name it, just transition aspects, and these kind of things, which are maybe sometimes referred to as soft measures, but they are actually at the heart of smart city development. I guess I will stop here because
yes.
I'm taking too much space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Georg, for your insight and contribution. Very useful for us. Again, a lot of ideas and a lot of opportunities are ready for us in the next month. So now I would like to move to the second part of our meeting, which was an interactive session. I would like to check if Annemie can also be connected. She had some ICT connection problem today, so so I wanted to verify and ask also to Francisco maybe to show himself for this interactive part and describe a little bit a list of questions that we have elaborated for you know, for see what it could be the next for us. So as a group, you know, related to in comparison, if we take into consideration our objective as group on integrated planning, policy and regulation, and the one on Bauhaus, it's important a little bit to see how they could be the connections. Yes. Francisco, I see that you put the 5 questions in evidence.
Yes, hello everyone, and hello Simona, and thanks for giving me the floor. Well, this is a very simple group dynamics. We have prepared some questions in advance related to what we as an action cluster and the related initiatives how we can work, or how you can work towards fulfilling the goals of the new European Bauhaus, how some kind of collaboration can be set up between the initiatives. And based on these questions, it is only about gathering the inputs from the floor, triggering a discussion of these different aspects, and seeing at the end of the session what the inputs are and what could be the next steps for us as a group, or for the action cluster and the related initiatives. So these 6 questions are already should be already in your screens, so you can confirm you're watching the panel, and I will stay quietly in the background taking notes that you will see in real time appear in your screen. So if you want to steer maybe together with me, or it's apparently Annemie has some kind of technical problem, so maybe you need to steer the session. I will be in the background taking notes and dumping all of your inputs into this panel. So that's in short, that's the dynamics for the rest of the session. So I give the floor back to you. I will disappear from your screens and quietly work in the background. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francisco. So maybe we are not a lot at the moment, so it's quite familiar. So I will ask to all the present people to think about a little bit the questions. Maybe I would like to start maybe with the first question, that is, what does an actionable, climate neutral, sustainable, beautiful and inclusive future look like? I don't know. So we underline in particular actionable as a keywords. As Alessandro said before, in Bauhaus, the concept of inclusive and beautiful also has been included in comparison to neutral carbon, that is more something of the Covenant of Mayors, something related to smart city. So I would like to see if by chance there are experience on the floor, examples from the audience on that, you know, working with maybe with the local level, as the examples that we had before in Norway, for example, or so. I would like to see if somebody want to take the floor. Maybe please just write me in the chat if you are interested in participating, and let me know. In case if you have any experience on that, on examples, on also inclusive and beautiful, you know, that is something. So all the historical aspects, this is typical also of historical cities with beautiful landscape or things like that. Trinidad, yes, please, Trinidad, would you like to take the floor? Yeah, can you open your microphone? Sorry.
Yes, sure. I was just saying maybe it refers to a future that it's more related to inclusiveness, because we have been having a lot of programs around how reducing, for example, greenhouse emissions and how this could benefit people, but maybe this next step, the Bauhaus can contribute to make our cities more inclusive, and also by including the citizens in this kind of processes, it could also support more the climate neutrality at the very end, because they are the ones that have one of the biggest jobs, that it's like being part of this process. I mean, we can work a lot on technologies and refurbishment and different building techniques. However, we need to work a bit more with our citizens or residents. And
Trinidad, from which organization are you?
I'm from Fraunhofer. I was the former coordinator from Triangulum, so that's why I'm joining today.
So the lighthouse, one of the lighthouse projects.
Yeah, actually, we have the lighthouse city Stavanger. So I'm really happy to. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, sorry, please go on.
No. It was just that, like, to focus a bit more on the social innovation in general. I think that will be like one of the actions that that could have a major impact at the end if we want to achieve climate neutrality at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, you had a lot of experience also with the project, you know, on experimentation and innovation. Do you think do you think in order to reach also the neutral carbon and yes, with the contribution of Bauhaus, do you think that radical experimentation and innovation are needed, are requested?
Yeah, I think, for example, in the case of our project, and of course we did have impacts on environmental impacts and financial impacts. However, for example, for our organization and for me especially, I think that the project should focus, or in general, one thing is about the technology, but the changes that are happening in cities are more related to the organizational ones. So, for example, our cities need to change with these projects, but we don't need to just bring this kind of new technologies or new ideas without making sure that they can be hosted in a way in our cities. So maybe if we can define more, or maybe target or efforts a bit there, then we can continue. I mean, just the technology per se, it's not the key of the puzzle. It's only one element more, but maybe having a plan in general could, and if we focus on doing those plans together with the cities, then we can find a solution. But I mean, it's one thought around many of them.
Yeah. Yes, I see. And do you think, as a group, we should participate in the partnership as a partner in the Bauhaus? Do you think it would be useful for our action cluster, our group, to have a role there? What do you think?
Yeah, actually, like one of the major motivations why I wanted to be here in this specific cluster was also to know more about a bit the activities that are planned, and also the other type of funding opportunities around the cluster, because it's a topic that I think it's really important. For example, this integrated planning, it's really aligned with what I was saying with the policies and regulations and creating like the environment for cities to become more climate neutral. So definitely, I think that I don't know how the work structure of the cluster is, but I think there are many things to do around the new European Bauhaus, and like it's planning per se, it's part of creating this environment. So it's definitely linked, in my humble opinion. Yes. How to do it, I don't know the mechanism, the financial, but also the working mechanisms. So I cannot. Maybe you have
for the moment, the partnership is more on a voluntary basis, like the Smart City. Like here, the Smart City Marketplace, and offer is as a participation is a new design. So they are still in the design phase in the GIEC and GRC for Bauhaus, and also that's at the beginning. Here in the marketplace of Smart City, we are working on that since already 8 years.
Yeah.
In our group, we have, we are in a general action cluster, but within our action cluster, we have initiatives. We have initiative, for example, from planning to implementation of urban planning, for the integrated planning part. And for that, our group has designed and developed a Smart City guidance package, co-designed with all the lighthouse projects. Triangulum, I think they were part of it. We included them as well. We had some interviews with them as well. Yeah. And we have elaborated a toolkit that can be used for free by cities. So this is something, our idea is from September to launch as the guidebook is nearly 150 pages, but it's divided in chapters, and according to the decision-making process, from a vision to plan to action, and how to set up the pipeline of and prioritize a project for a city perspective. So the idea was also to launch then some webinars starting from each chapter, where we put also barriers that have been encountered by city, but with solutions, innovative solutions that have been developed and that they could be replicated in other cities, you know. So I think it can be a very useful tool, and we will ask probably also to the city that they provide and the project that they provide examples to be part of it. And then we have a group on a tool for decision-making process with Bernard Guindreau is vice president in the Sensenelec standards group, and is also working, bringing the smart city in the table of Sensenelec and ETSI. So there are some activity going on standards. I know that is working worldwide on standard, of course, and also he was organizing some activity now with China. And we have also another initiative on regulatory and legislative aspects led by Annemie Wipmans, that we have Wipmans from NTNU that have been launched in last October, November, and has also an action, a roadmap, an action plan to follow, comparing different systems at national and regulatory, regulatory aspects. And then we have a final initiative, Six Nation Forum, that is more based on the contribution of the national level. So 6 countries that on a voluntary basis, they are discussing how to become more ambitious and reach the goals that will be also developed now in this new programming period 2021-2027, and the objective of the new commission, Ursula von der Leyen. So Green Deal, digitalization, and so on. So more or less, these are the aspects that we are following in our. So there's a part on integrated planning and a part on legislative aspects. Of course, now we are thinking that Bauhaus could also be from an integrated planning perspective, quite interesting to follow. Maybe not launching a new initiative, but more participating on the process as an action cluster, and maybe even collaborating with our colleagues from Citizen Focus, for example, that are also working on innovative solution, how to include citizens in the decision-making process, for example. So these are more or less the activity that we are taking for the future. So I don't know if you have other comments in case, Trinidad, would you be interested also to be involved also in the future? And if we, for example, if we decide to participate as a group and apply, apply.
Yeah, sure. I mean, now I feel a bit, a participant. So yeah, happy to be. We were just discussing a few things in the chat. with Francisco and Anemi. I know that Anemi will present later on. So yeah, happy to catch up at some point later. Yeah.
Wait, sorry, I missed the chat part.
yeah, we will
yeah,
yeah,
because I see that also Anemi, Anemi has technical problems, but she can use the chat. So I saw a lot of input from Anemi. For example, he was saying in Norway, for example, we have Arbor redevelopment project where energy, aesthetic, and inclusive approaches go hand in hand. However, it can be a challenge to immediately develop this into a long-term policy and to make this work within the current regulations. So we need to be able to experiment. We feel that new Bauhaus can give us a mandate for such experiment. Yes. So, yes. Okay. So I see that there's a big commitment and a big interest also from NTNU and from Norway. Of course, also, I mean, city with ports have also a particular regional, and city with port are normally has also a particular situation because quite often the ports are developing in the city. And so there's a big connection with positive and negative aspects, of course, and in particular in the transport, in the traffic, the impact that can be done with the traffic aspects. I mean, a discussion, and normally the city are also old, ancient cities, very interesting. I see another point in city for plus city for change. We are developing positive energy blocks and district, but it can be difficult to get all stakeholders on board. For society, a positive energy balance is great, but when people choose a place to live and work, they look for other qualities such as aesthetic facilities, good outdoor spaces, accessibility. So we are looking to explore the new Bauhaus can give the positive energy district an extra gear, and not just in one area or in one project, but as a part of a long-term policy and strategic planning. Yes, absolutely. This is also very, very important. Then I see Trinidad. We had a triangulum researchers focusing on the city learning and also the power and importance of having stakeholders from sectors on board. Is often, yes, I see from Anemi, getting all stakeholders involved is often person dependent. You need a strong driving force and personal commitment. When people switch jobs, the link disappear, and for which new project we have to build, we have to build that culture for cooperative innovation into our project, into the strategic planning of our cities. Could leak experiment feel to explore TCT learning? For this, I didn't understand what it means. TCT, this aspect and cross-cutting elements. Yes, yes. I see. Okay, so we have also other questions, but I don't know. The audience is quite limited. But I think I don't know if there are other comments from the audience on the topic, on the question that we have put in place. Do you see any?
I have a general question because I saw the presentation from the beginning from Alessandro, and in general, what are the options? Like we have, for example, our project finished, but I know that our cities will like to maybe apply for other fundings. or maybe, I mean, I know that George mentioned a few around, for example, the Commandant of Mayors, or we're also really aware of the Horizon Europe ones. So are there any other financial mechanisms that, or cities, or even like research mechanisms that they can apply that you know of, or yeah?
From my side, I can say I know that, for example, there was a call in at the end of Horizon 2020 on Green Deal that it was launched by the Commission, and was a cascade call. So so the consortia that have been selected, they will have to launch a cascade call around Europe devoted to cities. Now I don't know the details because it was part of the proposals, how to structure it. But this will be, I think, a good opportunity in the next 1 or 2 years. There will be this cascade call that will be not so big. If I remember well, it was between 400,000 euro till 1.2 million. So quite interesting. Where cities can probably experiment. I think probably also from a integrated planning perspective, and I imagine that also these aspects that will be launched more related to also to Bauhaus. So inclusion will be part of it. So this, for example, could be a possibility. Then there will be the partnership, the Driving Urban Transition Partnership that will be launched, I think, in 2022. So this will be also another possibility. So with a lot of call, I mean, till now it was GPI Urban Europe that is also part of our initiative leading, and they will Margit Noor will continue to lead this partnership, and Hanemi also is involved, and it will be with Positive Energy District and things. So there are a lot of I see a lot of possibility, and then of course there will be the possibility to have synergy among funding schemes with structural funds. So the possibility of synergies between funding schemes has been simplified in this new programming period. So what is important is to have a strategic vision and to approach it from different perspectives. And then you will have Digital Europe, of course, the new program on the ICT part. At the moment, all the regions all over Europe are developing digital innovation apps. So they were applying for the call on digital innovation apps to develop a one-stop shop in each region with a focus on ICT, high performance computing, so several kinds of ICT. There are plenty of possibility, I would say. So it's just a question. Have a look from next week on to the work program that will be published, and then see the more fitable opportunities.
Simona, here's Judith.
Hi, Judith.
Sorry, I had to fix something because I just heard my son passed his exams. So we have a little party starting here soon. I was just wondering, I think you had a lot of very good ideas, but can we in some way put them in this slide? Because otherwise we will lose them again, I'm afraid.
But we had Francisco that was writing down, so maybe we can just sum up a little bit, as we are very few people.
Yeah.
Maybe Francisco can sum up a little bit what he could, all the input that he could collect, and
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
No, not at the moment. Okay, now better.
Now better. Okay. Well, I think it was a very interesting discussion. We didn't really address the questions one by one, but I have been trying to take some notes on what I saw was related to the questions. Maybe if we can have a last go around with the questions specifically directed to each one of the questions, maybe more specific things can pop up. I don't know if you prefer to make this last round now, or maybe we can recap what we have so far and then maybe add some contributions to each one of the questions.
But maybe you can a little bit recap some of the answer to the questions. Yeah.
Okay. So the first question was, what does an actionable, climate neutral, sustainable, beautiful, and inclusive future look like? And so far, we regarding this question, I think that it was Trinidad who mentioned that a special focus needs to be put in inclusiveness and social innovation. So my understanding is that these are parts that, of course, have been developed and worked in the past in several projects and initiatives, but they have proven to be one of the key aspects, if not maybe the key aspect, in reaching successfully our goals on climate neutrality, zero carbon emissions, and so on. So this is so far in the conversation, this is what I could take the main part. The second one, what kind of radical experimentation and innovation is needed within the action cluster in order to get there? Several ideas came up. I took two main ideas. The need to drive long-term policies and regulation changes aligned to new European Bauhaus values. The need of having room for experimentation, or having room to develop new, different, and radical ideas without the constraints of the current narrow regulatory frameworks that we need to work within. And also the need to align climate neutrality with other values that people is looking after when they choose the places where they live. Because yes, climate neutrality, sustainability is more and more a value, but still there are another values and other characteristics for the places that we live in that people is looking for more than sustainability. And this can be having facilities nearby, quality of public space, security, aesthetics, and the list goes on. So we need to investigate and look how we can bring climate neutrality to the forefront, or together with these other values, so people can really assign real value to this when they choose the places where they live in. The third question, how can this action cluster support such experiments? What could we do? Who needs to be on board? My takeaway so far is that the culture for this cooperative innovation needs to be brought into our activities, into the projects and initiatives, especially into the strategic planning of our cities. So it is important to see or look at the three sides of new European Bauhaus: aesthetics, inclusion, and sustainability, and explore the relationships between the three sides of the triangle, and maybe make ourselves one question: which of these three sides is in the tip of the triangle? Which ones are in the base of the triangle? Which one serves which one? So these kind of reflections and how we can support development of the initiative. And regarding the unique contribution of this action cluster, the main takeaway is we can be, or we can serve as a discussion forum on how to link new European Bauhaus approach, this approach we have been discussing, to the standardization policy and regulatory work. Once again, regulations, long-term policies, how we approach the planning of the spaces where we live in, how we approach the planning of cities is key, and how to develop or how to change the way that we plan in the future, and align these new methods, these new practices to the new European Bauhaus values should be at the forefront of our activity. As for the fifth question, do we want to keep the topic as action cluster and apply for the Bauhaus partner procedure as an action cluster, or do we need an additional initiative? Well, we haven't really gone into this kind of discussion yet today, but I think it is important to underline what Trinidad said before. I think, as we have said before, there is a strong link to planning in the goals or in the achievements that the European Bauhaus is aiming at. But for us as a group, specific plans, specific resources, and maybe a specific roadmap on how to act as a group, it needs to be developed and discussed. And as for the last question, what could we plan together? This is blank for the moment, and maybe this could be a good question to wrap up and finalize our discussion today. Because what is the next step? What can we plan together? How we can move forward in this with this question, which has no answer so far. I give the floor back to you, Simon. Thank you.
I see. Did you see also the in the chat now, Hanemi? There's a discussion in the chat. I was having a look of what he was saying, Hanemi, again. That the unique contribution, in addition to of our group as a topic, we also have the investors and the matchmaking of the smart city marketplace. This could also be a unique contribution that not often addressed in new Bauhaus initiative. So this is an added value, and I know that Georg is no more there, but I know that is something that also for Georg and our marketplace, it's an added value that we have as a group, as an initiative. So we should also take this perspective as well into consideration if we prepare. Yeah.
Absolutely. As I was speaking, I was not really able to read the inputs from Annie.
Yes.
I strongly agree, and I will make sure to put this into
to include also this aspect.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. So in principle, I think we had a very interesting. I see again from Trinidad. Maybe you can build a community of practice around these topics and have a workshop to explore these ideas. Yes, I think we could prepare an agenda of events around these, and this could be also the objective. Be part of our candidature in the partnership, in the Bauhaus partnership, because in the Bauhaus partnership you have also to have an agenda of events where you discuss topics. Yes, like Discovery Channel, Anemi is saying. Yes, this is I think a very good idea. So I think we can think about preparing a candidature as a group, and keep this aspect important. So create a community of practice around these topics and a workshop to explore these ideas, and help each other to see local experiments. Absolutely. Also because in the meantime, yes, exactly. Because for the meantime, we are at the beginning of the process, but for sure there will be a lot of then opportunities also from the funding schemes in the future. Okay, so I think we touch a lot of points. I think that there's an interest, and we will try to set up maybe a mailing list for that. With interested, including also the Nordic experience, interested in the speech that we had at the beginning. And with Alessandro, we have an open door, of communication, so we can continue to talk directly also with GRC and that part of the commission. If there are no other comments from your side, thank you, Anemi. I know that there were there were some problems. I see also a point from Paul. Will Bauhaus with thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, I think it would be very important to have absolutely your group, and I think also Maria with the citizen focus. Yes, talking to the GRC. Yeah, because it will be GRC that will have all the activity. Alessandro in particular, he will be in charge of connecting, you know, all the initiatives. So create coherence between the initiative launched by all the partners. So this is something that you know, we can explore all together. I don't know if there are no other comments. I think we put a lot of elements. We are at the end of our workshop. I would like to thank all the participants and for the contribution. Yes, of course, citizen. That's what I was saying. That I think Maria and their group should be also involved. So we will work together for this exciting new objective, also including this Bauhaus. So thank you to all for your contribution, and see you soon. I mean, we will try to set up a mailing list of people interested on that, and we will let you know how we will decide to proceed and involve you in this process. So thank you all. And goodbye, of course. And thank also to the Smart City Marketplace for the organization.
Thank you, Simona, and thanks, Francisco and Annemie. And I really feel sorry for Annemie with the technical problems.
Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.